The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm here every Friday at 3 o'clock. If you miss an episode, you can catch me. This is Neil Himmelstein on Spotify or Apple, or go to my website, themainstreetcode.com, and catch all my old episodes on YouTube. And when we talk about our code, we talk about choice, organization, direction, and education. And we help hundreds of advisors across the United States, whether they're attorneys or CPAs or other financial advisors, seeking the best advice for life insurance planning, annuities, disability, and long-term care, as well as help you with any of your planning needs. And as I like to say to everybody, if you don't have a financial team together, reach out to us and we'll help put one together. We have a whole network of accountants and attorneys that we work with. We want to make sure your financial plan works for you, and everybody has their own planning. And today we're very fortunate to have with us a guest with us, Delvin Joyce. Delvin, say hello.
Hey, Neil. Very nice to be here with you. How are you?
Thank you. Delvin's calling. Where are you, in Atlanta this morning, huh?
I am traveling to Atlanta, the big city with a lot of traffic.
Wow. Okay. Well, I really appreciate you calling in. Delvin's got this unbelievable background. Delvin played, by the way, for the New York Giants, and he is a financial planner, and he's got the most incredible story that you can imagine. How did you played high school football, Delvin?
Yeah, you know, I've been playing football since I was a little kid, of course, and so played all the way through high school and was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to play at James Madison University, where I got a great education and ultimately ended up on everyone's favorite team, the New York Football Giants.
There you go. Well, I would say they were our favorite team when they were winning, but we're fair weather fans up here in New York, as you know. So it's
come on, Neil.
Yeah, what can I tell you? You know, when they're winning, they're the best. When they're not, you get upset. But that's okay.
No. Anyhow,
the amazing thing about you that blows me away, and you're one of my heroes. You really are. You didn't even get a scholarship out of high school, did you?
No, I didn't. I didn't get a scholarship out of high school, so I had to walk on at James Madison. I got, fortunately, I had really good grades in high school, and so I got in as a student, and I went about it the hard way.
Right. And yet you set all kinds of NCAA records and everything else, and the amazing thing is you didn't get drafted out of college either.
Well, I mean, I think that's sort of a theme for my life. I mean, I don't like taking the easy route. So sat out of football for a year after college, sent my highlight tape out to all the NFL teams because I still believed that I would have an opportunity to play someday, and was fortunate enough for the New York Giants to actually reach out and give me a shot.
I see, that's amazing. See, I grew up, I was vertically challenged, and when I entered high school, I was 85 pounds and 4'6", and I played 3 sports, and I tried really hard. And but you, my friend, you made it all the way to the pros, and the reason you didn't get a college scholarship or get a pro offer right away is because you weren't the prototypical big guy playing sports, playing football.
Yeah, I mean, I think most clubs thought I was too small to be obviously a college football running back or even an NFL running back. And Neil, I've met you in person, and so I thought that's why you were saying I was your hero, because I'm maybe 3 or 4 inches tall.
Exactly.
but I. It's a funny thing. It's not the size of the dog in the fight; it's the size of the fight in the dog. That's something my dad taught me at a very young age, and something I live by today, even in my financial planning practice.
Well, that's exactly where I was going, because you have something that you coined stick-to-itiveness, but more so that you did all this preparation, and I know what it takes to be a pro athlete. It takes a lot of preparation, takes a lot of studying, a lot of homework, and it always continues. It doesn't stop when you get to each level that you play, very much like financial planning, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, it's football is obviously constantly evolving. The game that I played 20 years ago when I was with the Giants is a totally different ball game. And I would also say that what most people have to navigate in terms of challenges financially, those things have also evolved. And so for me to be a great practitioner as a certified financial planner, I've really got to stay on top of my game, continue to learn, and make sure that I'm doing the best thing for my clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And things change. I remember when I was a young man, people had one career, and they would get a pension and retire and die, basically. And now young people may have 7, 10, 12 careers by the time they're 30. And
yeah,
things definitely change. I was brought up with a father who was a veterinarian, but he invested in the stock market from the 1920s and continually on a steady basis, always invested and and believed in buy and hold, which is a concept that we were taught when I was young, is buy and hold. And today's society, people think that, okay, there's Bitcoin, let me just buy, and it's kind of like a gamble. And I think with financial planning, we talk about foundation, setting up a foundation. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, 2 things, Neil. I did not know that your dad was a veterinarian. My wife, I don't know if we shared this, my wife is also a veterinarian.
Oh, my goodness.
So we've got that in common. But, to your point, I mean, I think for a lot of people, there's so much to navigate when you think about the financial planning landscape.
Right.
And the unfortunate thing is that, financial planning is hard work. It takes a lot of time, and it's not a get rich quick. But I also believe that a lot of people feel like they are behind the 8 ball when it comes to building wealth. And so they look for some of these shortcuts, like the microwave solutions. Let me put my money into this cryptocurrency and pull it out next week, and hopefully I'm a millionaire. And,
right.
As you and I know, true wealth, true financial foundation comes with being very diligent and intentional about planning and seeing that plan through to fruition.
Correct. And it doesn't stop when you're 40, 50, 60. It doesn't even stop when you're 70 and 80, because, life has a lot of twists and turns. And as we're living longer, as I'm finding, and we're all finding, we have long-term care issues. We have issues where we might not be able to, we might outlive our income. And I think that's a big deal in planning. Well,
it's a huge deal. You said it before. The landscape of retirement planning has changed, in that back in the day I could work for a company for 30 years and get a pension and retire and live comfortably. And unfortunately, now most companies don't have pensions.
Correct.
I have one with the NFL. Hopefully, until too many concussions will ruin that eventually. But I just think that most people have no idea how their retirement savings will actually translate into a retirement income one day. A problem that if you had a pension, you didn't really have to worry about.
And that's the thing. So a lot of people call into me and come visit me, and they talk about, okay, I'm retiring next week, and I've got these investments, but they don't realize, well, I have to go on a budget. Well, I don't. I like to go on a spending plan if you're prepared properly. Let's go on a spending plan, not a budget. Nobody likes to be budgeted per se. But at the end of the day, people don't realize that, okay, I don't have that income, but I have the asset, and I really need the income to protect. Anyhow, we're getting ready to go on break. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. My guest is Delvin Joyce. And Delvin, how can I get a hold of you?
Yeah, well, I am, you can find me. I have a LinkedIn page and I have a website, www.prudential.com/Delvin Joyce.
Okay.
That's probably the best way to reach me.
Fantastic. And if you need to reach out to me, the best way is 631-647-4694. And you're listening to the Main Street Code, and we'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. I'm here with Delvin Joyce. Delvin Joyce is a CFP, CLU, CHFC, RICP. Man, Delvin, you got a lot of initials behind your name. What does all that mean?
Well, all that means, the Certified Financial Planner obviously is an advanced degree in financial planning, but all it really means is that I've taken my education really serious because I want to make sure that I can serve my clients and do the best job possible for them.
And that is so important. You want to work with people that are professionals. And Delvin does a lot of financial planning, as do I. And I think the main thing is when you're doing any type of financial planning, you want to develop a relationship with a person like Delvin or like myself who's really going to lay out the foundation. And that's when I talk about my code. The number one thing I always talk about people is organization. Bring your papers in. Let's look at everything. Wouldn't you say you want to see the whole picture, right, Delvin?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I think the key to working with a financial planner is you're working with someone who will ensure that they are putting your needs and your goals and objectives first. And so, Neil, to your point, bringing everything, giving that person access to everything and getting the full picture will help them to create an actual plan that's pursuant to your specific goals, not theirs.
Exactly. And that's so important. And people think, now, even if you're young and just starting out, and I get this call a lot, my son, he got a $10,000 bonus, and what should he invest in? And I tell him, let's sit down and talk about it, because it's not investing a big lump sum of money at once. A lot of time it's planning it out and buying consistently over time and using techniques like dollar cost averaging and balancing out your portfolio, that type of thing, which is so important. It's not a one shot, okay, I'm going to buy crypto today and get out tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. It's like going to a casino and throwing my money to the wind, and maybe I'll get right, maybe wrong. And I got to tell you, Delvin, I have some young kids that they're in their 30s, mid-30s, and they're doing very well financially and stuff, and luckily they practice. But I know briefly one of my sons went on margin, was buying Bitcoin and this and that, until all of a sudden he got a margin call. And it's like, that's a scary thing. When people go on margin, you're going into debt to buy something, and you're risking that thing's going to go up. If it goes down, all of a sudden you got to come up with money. So you really want to have a professional and sit down and not just buy off the internet and think that you're buying willy-nilly. So that's... Well,
Neil, I think that's really getting back to the importance of creating a financial plan.
Yep.
Because when you have a financial plan, you invest more intentionally. The unfortunate thing for most people is that they invest without a plan, and so they're really just watching what the S&P 500 does, and they're trying to keep up with some index, or they're taking stock tips from their Uber driver.
Right.
And if you have an actual financial plan, then that financial plan will dictate what your financial strategy should be. So you are much more likely to have a disciplined, well thought out investment strategy, rather than, as you just said, investing willy-nilly in anything.
Right. So, and with that, you need a foundation. And part of the foundation, the basic foundation, is life insurance. Is so important as a basic foundation, is to have that protection for family members, for loved ones. And even if you're young and not married, what a good foundation. You can call it an investment. Some people don't want to call it an investment, but basically you're investing in your own future. Because one of the great values of life insurance, whether it's whole life or an index life or something that builds cash value, is you have the protection of the IRS where you're not being taxed. The money can grow tax deferred. You can take it out tax free. And if you were to get married later on or have other people that are dependent on you later on, they will have that benefit if something happens to you. And with a lot of the modern day policies, like even the insurance policies from 10, 20 years ago have changed, you can actually have living benefits just in case you can't work or you're disabled or something's wrong, and you can pull from that death benefit early. They have these living benefits now. All this plays into a whole financial plan. And Delvin, I know you're a well-rounded financial planner and understand the foundation, how important that is as part of the whole general plan.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people come to us and they want to invest money, and that's their first objective. And we often explain to them that it does us no good to grow your wealth if we're also not helping you to protect it.
Absolutely.
And so in terms of building the foundation, we even start with emergency fund planning. So if you don't have 6 months of your expenses saved, then we're not even going to have an investment conversation.
Right.
Once you've gotten that emergency fund built up, now we're going to talk about, obviously eliminating debt. But to your point, the cornerstone of your financial plan should be your insurance planning, because unfortunately, none of us knows what will happen in the future. And if you're not adequately protected, and that's just not life insurance. To your question, it's long-term care insurance. But it's also your auto insurance and your homeowner's insurance.
Absolutely.
Make sure you have the proper liability limit.
Absolutely, and that's a good point. I had a rep that worked with me who was selling long-term care insurance. This goes back 20 years, but this woman locally, he sold her a very big long-term care insurance policy, which she needed, by the way. She was like an 80-year-old woman, and she lived on her own, and she called me up or he referred me to get a mortgage because there was a hole in her roof. Oh, wait a minute. Do you have homeowner's insurance? He goes, no. I don't know how the man walked out of there and didn't ask her if she had homeowner's insurance and sold her a long-term care insurance policy. It turns out she had a renter in her upstairs, and a tree had landed in that room of her renter's room, and now she's trying to buy homeowner's insurance.
Wow. Yeah. So again, I think that really speaks to the idea of looking at your entire financial situation comprehensively.
Correct.
And I think the unfortunate thing is most people go through their entire financial lives accumulating products.
Right.
But they don't really have those products necessarily tied to a comprehensive financial plan. And so that's why I'm such a big advocate for financial planning, and why it makes such a big difference in people's ability to reach their goals.
And not only that, but as people plan over time, and this happens to most people, believe it or not, it's not an isolated situation. People get married, they get divorced, they might have some kids, maybe they have kids with a second marriage, and they bought life insurance, they did the right thing, and they may have bought real estate, and it's titled this way, and this is titled that way, and the interesting thing, when you buy things and they're titled a certain way, all that goes into a great melting pot when you're gone. And life insurance policies, I see it all the time, go by beneficiary. They don't go by will. They don't go by trust. They go by beneficiary on the contract. So if you got married and you got remarried and you didn't change it to the new wife or new husband or whatever it is, and you still had the other person, I can give you example after example. It doesn't matter. The beneficiary of that policy is the one who gets the insurance. So that has to be
Yeah.
reviewed on a regular basis. And not only that, you may have gone to the best attorney in the world, have the best accountant in the world, and the best insurance guy, and the best investment guy. If they're not talking to one another, you could have a mess, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, no, and you're exactly right. I think the beneficiary review is one of the things that a lot of people take for granted.
Yeah.
But when you've maybe changed jobs several times, it's really hard to remember who the beneficiaries may have been.
Oh, that's a big deal.
Retirement plan.
Absolutely.
And Neil, I'll give you an example. When I was in the NFL, I was not married. My wife and I were, we were together, but we weren't married. And so I got my first 401k plan with the New York Giants, and I made my nephews the beneficiary.
Wow.
Well, lo and behold, my wife and I have been married for 10 years, and we have our own 3 children. And then I did my own beneficiary review, and my nephews were still the beneficiaries on my 401k plan.
Oh, my
I do not
goodness.
think my wife would have been very happy about that. And so,
No.
Again, I think it's one of those things we take for granted, but you got to make sure that you review those things on a regular basis.